Black family has one of the most interesting dynamics and backstories within the Wizarding world. Beyond just Sirius, his cousins, and even brother have some of the most interesting unexplored stories within the films. Now today I'm going to recast some of the biggest names within the Black family, as well as some of those who are connected. But to keep in line with what I've done in the last couple videos, we're looking at a very specific timeline. Pretty much the last year when the Marauders were at Hogwarts, leading into the rest of their lives. But before we get started today, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Surfshark. Now Surfshark is a VPN that allows you to protect your data from it being breached, which is amazing. But if I'm being honest, I usually use it to change my IP address so I can watch things that aren't available in my country. Like if I wanted to watch Harry Potter right now, I simply couldn't. But if I change my location inside Surfshark to Turkey, all the Harry Potter films are there for me to watch. The nice thing about Surfshark as well is it allows unlimited devices. So use promo code BrianSeeker to get a special holiday price of 83% off as well as 4 months free. So check the link in the description below for more details. So for today, we are going to recast all 3 Black sisters, Regulus Black, and pretty much because he's part of the family, a young Lucius Malfoy. So let's recast for a Harry Potter prequel series. First up, we have Bellatrix Lestrange, the eldest of all the Black sisters and a fan favorite within the universe for good reason. Now, all of the 3 Black sisters definitely had a different way of thinking, but Bella, she doubled down on the evil. She full-heartedly believes in Voldemort's cause in ridding the world of the impure. And from what I gather, she never really strayed far from that path, even as a youth. Now, in my mind, I don't think Bella should go full crazy yet. Rather, we get slight glimpses of it. I think Azkaban should be that real driving force into madness, but at this age, she should be a touch toned down. Now, according to Harry Potter Wiki, she should be far older than the 4 boys, but I don't want to go too old here, because I want a dynamic between her and Sirius being a little bit closer in age. And if I go with someone 10 years as senior, there won't be as much interaction. So therefore, I aged down the role a little bit on this one, which is good because I ended up with Maisie Williams, who, like I said, is definitely on the younger side of this role. But at 24, she is definitely the boys' senior. Now, I think she's one of the few actresses today who can pull off this wandering mind and this unkept nature without going too far with this. I think she would give a more grounded performance, but with little hints of that crazy peeking through. I think she can bring that same strangeness and that unpredictable decision-making that makes Bellatrix so interesting to watch.
Can I help?
Why do you work for a man who speaks to you like that?
No idea, darling. It's probably the same reason I married the bastard.
Why do you stay married to a man who doesn't love you?
You foreign or something? You don't sound foreign.
Sort of.
So Maisie Williams as Bellatrix Black. Next up, we have Regulus Black. Now, in my mind, in probably your mind right now, we both have the same choice in mind. Timothée Chalamet is the clear choice for this role, and he's always the image I had in my mind for Regulus. But unfortunately, he's a little bit too old for Regulus in this timeline. Regulus is the younger brother of Sirius, and since Sirius starts out at 17 years old, it wouldn't make sense to cast a 25-year-old as his younger brother. Regulus is actually a year or 2 younger than Sirius, and has always been described as having that same black hair, but feeling smaller and rather less handsome than Sirius. I want someone who feels a little bit of that standoffish, but misunderstood and definitely unsure of his actions. He should be more quiet and not sure of his way, and really questioning a lot of what he does. But I still want to see that performance which guides into what we see later on with Regulus. Now, I went with Eden Hayhurst, who's actually been in a lot of things for someone of his age, but he's got that look I need here, and he's a little less handsome than the Sirius I cast, but he's got this way about him that just seems like there's so much under the surface.
You're at court with a Venetian. You're friends with Leonardo.
Yes.
I don't get a lot of company.
You must have friends.
Dukes don't have friends, only subjects.
Well, now you have one. Me.
So Eden Hayhurst as Regulus Black. Next up, we have the Black sister who's definitely the least talked about, Andromeda. The middle sister of the 3, and really the one who goes against the family beliefs and completely makes her own path. It's stated she looks a lot like her older sister Bellatrix, but is softer, kinder, and she's actually the mother of Nymphadora Tonks, who we love in the original series. And she always treated Sirius as her only true family. Therefore, I think she should have a large part in the story. Now, I want that gentle nature, and I want that dynamic with Sirius, and I really want to explore her story here. I end up going with Ella Hunt, who has that softer and that more understanding feel here, but she also has that little bit of a smirk to her roles in her performances, where she can touch a little bit on the lighter side. She does look a lot like Bella, which I like, but I can buy into her being the black sheep of the family and really going against everything and falling in love with Ted and leaving her family behind.
I'm sorry. I'm scared to tell you. I spoke to Marie. I just want something to change.
What have you done?
I've asked her to reduce Mum's medication. She agreed.
So Ella Hunt as Andromeda Black. Next up we have Narcissa, the youngest of the Black sisters, and one who's always ended up in that little bit of a middle ground. Like her sisters, she was raised to learn about blood purity. While the other two clearly chose their way, Narcissa seems to struggle with it. Now, the Narcissa we know is confident, stoic, and very decisive. I want to take this character in a little bit of a different direction, especially in their youth. I want to double down on her being the baby of the family, and being conflicted about being in this life. She has a strong bond with her sisters, so she has a really tough time siding with either one of them. That being said, I still want her as a good wife and eventual mother, but I want her to be a follower. She does what's asked of her. I want someone who's a little less certain in her ways, and someone who isn't as composed as she seems in future films. For someone who believes in the cause so much, she never really joins Voldemort full force and eventually betrays him. So I want to see that little bit of gray area here. I went with Saoirse Groundsel, who definitely has this young and naive vibe to her, and although she is best known for The Innocents, where she shows that unsure nature, I think she's relatively unknown, which I think works perfectly with this character, and someone who's finding her way.
You knew my name.
Well, you said he'd been trying to get to me for weeks.
You knew my mum.
She sent him.
I think she can put on an act and pretend to be strong for her family, but constantly be questioning. So Saoirse Groundsel as Narcissa Black. Lastly, we have Lucius Malfoy, Narcissa's husband, a character that we love to hate. He has the same values as the Black family and seems like a match made in heaven for Narcissa. Now he is 5 years older than the Marauders, so we should cast accordingly. Now with Lucius, that nose in the air vibe is the most important thing here, and someone who is so certain in his ways. While Narcissa questions, Lucius should be always the person straightening her path and showing her how she should act. We need someone who seems like they are from money and has that air of confidence to them. I went with Joe Alwyn, who has that look like he comes from old money. He has that pattern of speech and that confidence that is right in line with Lucius.
I will take our daughter, and I will leave.
Now, if you think the courts will side with an adulteress, then you're delusional. And if you try to leave, if you try to take my child, I will destroy you. And you'll never see her again, do you understand?
I also think he looks a little bit like a young Jason Isaacs, but other than that, I think he has the perfect cadence for a role like this. He has that stern way to him that would perfectly translate to this character. So Joe Alwyn as Lucius Malfoy. So there is my cast of the Black family. Who did I miss or who did you want to see? We've got one episode left with the Professors of Hogwarts, so let me know who you'd like to see there. Also, since Mr. Beast is doing the whole Squid Games thing in real life, I'm thinking about recasting them as American actors, so let me know if you'd be interested in seeing that. That being said, thank you so much for watching, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.